Okay, we're going to look at the overview of Congress and kind of where we need to start for this unit. And so let's take a look at the terms of sessions. Terms of Congress last 2 years. This is for the House of Representatives. Term begins January 3rd of every odd year. Terms numbered consecutively. There's some of that information. Adjournment, end of term. Date must be agreed upon by both houses. 2 regular sessions per term. So we have the 2-house legislature. Bicameralism. House of Representatives was designed to be closer to the population, to the people. And so members elected directly by the people rather than indirectly, as the senators were until the 17th Amendment. Members are elected from smaller districts rather than at a large scale. Remember, in California we have 53 of these. Senate is elected on a large scale. Members elected for only 2-year term. An entire body elected every 2 years. So we have that going on right now. And when it comes to like bills and things of this nature, this is important to know. Revenue bills or tax bills, they must originate, which means start, in the House. Senate is designed to be more removed from the people. Members originally were indirectly elected by state legislators, but the 17th Amendment changed that. Members are elected on an at-large basis, and only a third of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. More stability and continuity. So if you didn't figure out, our theme is the overview of Congress for this section. I apologize for not stating that earlier. House of Reps, the size is 435 since 1911. Members elected in districts, not states. We saw that in California. Number of reps, state is determined by population. Demographic trends show increase in Sunbelt state representation. We have 53 reps in California, decrease in Frost Belt state representation, things like Florida and stuff. Terms of office are fixed, unlike in parliamentary systems. 2 years, entire body every 2 years. Term limits passed by some states but ruled unconstitutional by Supreme Court in 1995. So it's been tried before. Qualifications. What do you have to be in order to run for Senate? 25 years old, citizen for 7 years, resident of the state, and typically you got to think, why do we want you at 25? And typically, what kind of degree do we want you to have? So that's House of Rep. Let's take a look at the Senate. Size is 100 members, chosen statewide by elections at large. With a smaller size of Senate, there has been a more informal body with less need for the House for as many strict procedures. That means just the everyday running of the Senate. Terms of office, 6 years, third up for every 2 years. Staggering terms ensures a more stable body. No term limits allowed here either. Qualifications 30. Why? Citizen 9 years and resident of the state. And let's take a look at compensation. Members set their own salaries. Nice. 27th Amendment prevents salary raises from taking effect until the following term. Speaking fees are now banned. That's one of the things. Many other perks. Staff, you get a travel allowance, office space, franking privilege, that's that free mail, insurance. Legislative immunity, cannot be sued for something they say while on congressional business, and cannot be arrested, detained while going to or from a session of Congress. Membership, over representation of white, male, Protestant, middle-class lawyers in their 50s. Charges of conservative status quo bias. Rebuttals, many more women and minorities have been elected in recent years. And perfectly possible for white, male, Protestant, middle-class lawyers in their 50s who represent the poor and afflicted. Interesting rebuttal there. Not sure if I always agree with that. In any case, the people themselves are the ones who elected the members. But remember, what's wrong with that? Because they draw their own districts. Interesting there. So we talked about that already in class a little bit. The incumbency advantage means those people already in office. What advantage do they have? The scope of incumbency advantage, re-election rate, we talked about this, 90%. 96 in 2008. My goodness. Re-election rate in the Senate, it's usually 80%, 90%, so it's usually greater than 90% in 2008. Relatively few states are seriously contested in the House. Most are quote-unquote safe seats, which means nobody's ever really going to beat them. There's a charge of this permanent Congress. Again, we're looking at that. How do you fix this? The counter to the permanent Congress argument is that re-election rates take into account only those incumbents who run for re-election. Retirements, open up quite a few seats each year to new members. The advantage, again, of the incumbency. You have the franking privilege, free mailing, staffers, patronage, name recognition, huge casework. You can always go back to that, and money, especially from political action committees. Another incumbency advantage is this thing called gerrymandering. And we will stop here. Tomorrow we will focus on gerrymandering. If you are doing anything about redistricting, I would look at this right here. If you think that's part of your thing, take a look at what this is. All right, I hope you have a good night.